everyone, and we're back as a third episode, right?
Yeah, congratulations, because like I said in the first episode, that 99% of all podcasts do not survive third episode. So
we're on the edge.
Yeah, people leave this idea behind after just 2 episodes. We're far...
One episode further.
Yeah, one episode further.
Maybe we'll leave this idea after this one.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We don't know the statistics about how many people survive 3 episodes, but here we are. Yes.
Yeah, and today we want to discuss a very sensitive topic of Ukrainian men being outside of Ukraine and leaving the country.
Why is it sensitive?
Because we can get so much hate for it, and like
we can. We do.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, but, and I have no shame saying that I'm here with my husband because we have a family, we have kids, and
we have a dog behind the door who's barking.
Yeah, who's barking. I don't know, like every time we make a podcast, something's happening.
Either kids barking or a dog lying.
Somebody's crying, somebody's yelling, somebody's jumping or barking, or something happens.
Yeah. So that's entertainment you all deserve.
Yes. So forgive us for the background noises. That's an extra flavor.
Yeah. The topic is rather serious to be fair, because I am a man outside.
No way.
I am a man outside of Ukraine.
And you left during war
and fighting age and
able-bodied.
Able-bodied. What's TikTok always comments in? Able-bodied and fighting age. All these things. That's me. And during these 2.5 years, I know that I am for sure that I can talk about myself, but also I can talk about quite a few of my friends that I know that they experience hate,
judgment.
Yeah, judgment, and the judgment where person who judges doesn't know a smallest idea, doesn't have smallest idea how this person
left the country,
appeared, got here, or does he have any official reason.
I will interrupt you. I lost a stone from my charm.
Is this expensive?
Well,
did you just figure it out?
Yeah, I just saw. I just lost a stone from my charm from my bracelet.
All right.
Anyways,
you know what that means? We're gonna have to buy another one.
I had a matching one with my daughter. I'll have to fix the stone there.
Right. Anyways, my point is that usually people judge not knowing anything. Just like previous episode, we wanted to, kind of explain how this works and benefits and all this thing that usually a topic for hate. Just to explain and give you an idea so that sometimes you can use this information firsthand. Received from Ukrainians firsthand, right? And help someone not to be that judgmental, because there are a lot of different cases.
Yes.
And the topic of men, fighting age men not in Ukraine or leaving Ukraine is the same topic. People judge not knowing what are the circumstances and how things could be. So we're going to break it down for you. And maybe share our experiences and our friends' experience, because obviously we have a lot of male friends who went through something like that. So I think we're going to start with our case, like describe why, because it's still a topic, even on this little smallest in the world YouTube channel, there was already
still a comment.
It was already first comment, which kind of warms my heart, because it means that algorithm pushes our videos to a new audience, and they're like, "Oh, Ukrainian, what the hell are you doing here?" No, I don't personally. When I came here 2.5 years ago, you can see my first TikToks. I posted a couple of TikToks specifically about this topic, about how much hate was I was experiencing from Canadians
Not only Canadians, Americans, like whoever was
I
outside.
mean, English-speaking people. Yeah.
Like
So-
that's your core audience.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's your
And it
subscribers
bugged
and
me-
viewers and whoever.
Yeah, it bugged me at first. And I'm just a human being, even though I'm online for the last 15 years or so, and I know about hate everything, but still sometimes people find a
It
way
gets you.
find a way to your tender heart.
Tender heart.
Yeah, and
Gentle heart.
yeah, but
Sensitive soul.
no, seriously, it is because the main reason why it bugged me just because I bugged myself with the same phrases. Like when people say, "Oh, you're fighting age. Why did you leave the country?" Blah blah blah. I feel like
You betrayed your country.
Yeah, any male person, Ukrainian guy thinks the same thing. Anyways,
Yeah.
it could be a long story, but I will leave it for my therapist, which is you,
your dog.
probably. Yeah, probably you part time. But we'll start from my case. And it's simple. If you've been around for a while in my TikTok or Instagram, I said it many times, but we're just gonna have a one episode here on YouTube explaining things again. So there are a couple of government official reasons people can leave Ukraine even today.
Yeah. And I want to make a little remark that when the war started, the day the war started, it was Thursday. I woke up really early in the morning hearing some
explosions.
Now we know there was explosions, but we lived right next to like a bunch of car service stations, garages and stuff. And they were fixing cars and all weird sounds were coming from there.
And
so I'm like, oh my God, it's 5 p.m. Why are you not sleeping while you're working at this time?
Another important fact is that a couple of days or week before that, there was a fire in one of the garages.
Yeah.
And
the roof was exploding.
Was popping so loud, like it felt like something is exploding. And so we woke up and was like, oh, probably this is another garage is on fire.
Yeah, because people use those garages to live there and like those fancy garages. Anyways, I woke up, it's 5 a.m. or 4 something. I'm like, no, I want to sleep. It's too early. Why don't you stop working? Went to take a shower because it was too hot for some reason, and then I couldn't fall asleep. I took my phone and saw it's all over the news that the war started. I'm like, what? It's insane. Yeah. Because in the 21st century, I was born in 1987. You can count how old I am. But being born in 87, I was never in my life taught what to do if the war starts. Because, come on, this is 21st century. My parents never taught me, here, if there's a fire in the home, you do this. If your car gets hijacked, you do this. If you lose your kid in a shopping mall, you do this. If the war starts, you do this. No. This was never it wasn't even a case that we ever discussed in my life. But still, here we are.
But still, you prepared a safety bag, or how you call that?
Actually, are all documents,
safety luggage,
passports and everything, or like important papers, were in such a mess. And I'm like, okay, this is a good reason to organize it. I went through it all. I sorted out the most important documents and then left the rest of it separately. So I put all the important documents in one folder, and I'm like,
we had an emergency suitcase next to our door for a week before.
We didn't. It was just a folder in my desk. So
yeah.
Something is going on in our home. Somebody's jumping on our heads.
Again, this is one of the facts that we still cannot get used to. Yeah. How thin the ceiling, the walls are, and you can hear everything. It's crazy.
Anyways, I woke him up and I'm like, the war started. He's like, are you insane? Go back to sleep. Leave me alone. So it took us really a few hours to realize what's going on. And the first, before the war started, we saw the news that there will be a war, and we're like, no, this is insane. It's not going to happen. And because there was already a war in eastern Ukraine for a few years before that, well, not a few years, it's 8 years. So my husband literally on Wednesday evening, he's like, do you really think that if Russia invades Ukraine, we're going to see rockets and bombs and tanks roaming in Kiev, in the capital? This is insane. That's not going to happen. They probably will just go through the line, like the border line between where it has been for 8 years. So it's going to be just pushed further into Ukraine.
Can I interrupt you? She explains how unreal, even before the war started, and it was this idea that it might happen was all over the news. Even with all that, seeing that American embassy evacuates their staff like a
was
week
probably
before.
Something we should have paid attention to.
Like all these things happened, and we still were like, this is just impossible. It is not real. But my point is just kind of like off topic, but I want to mention maybe we should. As a warning, or is just you can think about me as a
paranoid,
war damaged person, but
traumatized.
Traumatized. But I keep seeing videos online where Americans making fun about Canadians. Americans making fun about Canadians in such a way that I've heard Russians making fun of Ukrainians for all my life. Like I've seen videos online where some famous comedians were joking around like, Canada, what do you know about Canada? Oh, they feed their kids not from mother's milk, but this maple leaf syrup or something.
It's not maple leaf, it's just maple syrup.
Thank you.
It's not from leaves, it's from maple.
Yes, thank you. So, and everyone's like, yeah, and then they just kind of like couple of jokes about Canada, hockey, and so on. But then they finish with, and it's just a 53rd state of it should be a 53rd state of United States or something like that. Like, and it's not the only time I've seen anything like that. Probably you guys, Canadians, you guys have heard these things since you were little, that United States jokes about Canada not really being independent and should have been. It's basically the same thing, but we don't really understand why it's a different country. All these jokes. Get it from a Ukrainian person who heard jokes like this and serious and jokes and not really nothing extreme. Everything is very nice, but I've heard this so many times all my life, and this is what happens.
It's
no. Listen, what can change? So my point is that I don't want to get you, all this. Scared or frustrated. Just it will take one person to take over a government. Like it could be a peaceful election that those guys downstairs gonna have very soon, or it can take any other leader to rise up in the country, and all the jokes can be not jokes anymore.
Look, Ukraine and Russia have hundreds of years of history where Russia.
Do you know about history between United States and Canada?
I know nothing.
There was 2 wars.
I know nothing. When?
There was. It was long ago.
Did
Canada win?
U.S. try to
invade,
erase the culture of Canada?
No, we don't.
Or change the language of Canada? So it's Russia have been trying to erase Ukraine as a cultural entity for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Soviet Union is the same thing.
Like they've been trying to erase their faith, even though it's Christian, but it's a different, like there's Orthodox, like Moscow and Ukrainian and stuff. So there's like critical things that US never did to Canada.
Yeah, I really don't want to get into this topic. I fingers crossed that this will never be, it will just leave. We will just leave it in this podcast and that's it. But it's just my observation.
It's just a little PTSD. Dudes.
Yeah, maybe. Let it be this PTSD or whatever SD, but STD. No, nah.
No, not
PTSD, right.
Oh my God.
So, but it just bugs me when I hear jokes like this. You know.
Yeah, I think it's like a reaction that you get from from your experience, and also like people tend to
back to our
but
topic.
That's good. So we didn't believe the war started anyways. On Wednesday evening before the war started, we were talking and my husband's like, okay, if Russia invades Ukraine again or something moves further into Ukraine from what's already there, we're gonna pack our stuff and leave because
we thought my way of thinking was that we have a conflict for 8 years on east of Ukraine, and the only way for army and we've heard the news that all the military equipment and military training Russia is having near this east border. And my process of thinking was that if they're gonna invade, they're just gonna break through
east.
This east line of conflict. Yeah. And then if that happens, we still have like 2 days to pack our stuff and leave.
Whatever time we have, because when they invaded eastern Ukraine, there was no martial law. The war wasn't declared, so everybody could go back and forth. And then the worst case scenario, we thought that when Russians occupied eastern Ukraine, they did allow citizens of Ukraine leave, go back and forth. I have so many friends who lived in eastern Ukraine before 2014, and they said they moved to Kiev and other cities, and they're like, oh, we still have our stuff there. We go there like once a few weeks and just
even though
take
it's controlled.
Yeah, it's under control of Russia, but it was so peaceful. It was so calm, and it
wasn't peaceful.
Well, not peaceful. I mean, like
it was possible.
Civilians were safe to go there, grab their stuff. They were allowed to go there, grab their stuff, and come back, and they could go back and forth.
But it was still a very high risk.
Yes, but we were so wrong. Like, I have never been so wrong in my life. Yeah. And like on Thursday, when the war started, we're like, okay, we're not leaving. We're gonna see how it goes, because it's probably gonna be done by evening. So we didn't believe it's gonna unfold. And on Friday morning, we heard the first siren in our whole lives, and we went to the basement of our apartment building, and all the neighbors were like, round eyes, like.
No one knows.
It feels so weird to do these things when you were never taught to do this thing. So we're like, okay, we have to leave. And we packed our stuff. We started thinking about leaving. And then, on Thursday evening, we were told that men are not being allowed to leave Ukraine.
Question. Do you, you're watching this video, this podcast. Do you know where to go if you hear a siren, an alarm, air raid? Do you know where to go? Because this is one of the very basic things you need to know, and basic things we didn't know. Thank God we lived in, especially if you live in apartment building. Yeah, because we lived in a condo, and we had a basement, and it was concrete building. Yeah, storage basement under the whole building, and this is where we all went. Yeah. But
from the sixth floor.
From the sixth floor, yeah. But here we live in a cardboard house, like we call it, cardboard
drywall house.
And this basement,
it will save you from nothing.
It is ridiculous. So even if we hear a air raid alarm or siren right now, I don't know where we would go.
You just accept your fate.
Yeah, we're like, Yeah, what do you do? But especially if you live in a big city, you need to know this.
Where to go?
And it's never cringe to think
ask,
about these
just in
things
case.
and ask. Yeah.
So on Thursday evening, in the morning on Thursday, everyone could leave the country. Like on the first day of war, everyone could leave the country. And I think at 9 p.m. on Thursday, they closed the border for everyone. Only women and kids could leave. And I, as a special needs mom, I love and once aspiring lawyer, I really wanted to be a lawyer at some point. But I really like reading laws, and I like to know what my rights are. So I'm like, something is wrong, because we have so many kids. We have adopted kids. We have a child with a disability, severe disability. I'm like, there has to be something wrong. Like, they cannot keep all the men in the country. And my gut was telling me that something has to be done. And I researched, I looked up the laws and like categories of men who can leave the country. And actually, our constitution has a whole list of men that can leave the country when there is a martial law and war. But they still were not allowing those categories of men leave. I'm like, come on, this is Europe, this is a democracy, and the laws are being broken. So we didn't know what to do. We decided to leave our home. We packed stuff. We went to stay with our friends. It was a very scary road, because the road took.
Because it's like we have so many friends who we share the same story of Exodus. And the question is like, you're saying, like, imagine you're sitting at your home, you hear explosions. They're relatively far in our case, but you hear explosions, and you're reading the news, you know that those are rockets. Those are rockets,
like
bombs, air controlled bombs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you read the news that tanks and military vehicles, Russian military vehicles, are all over main roads between cities. And what are you going to do? Do you sit home and then wait that some Russian soldier gonna knock your door?
No, I won't call him soldier. Those are not soldiers.
Yeah.
Those are not soldiers.
Invader. Those
soldiers have moral values and like some principles, human basic
those
principles.
orcs gonna knock at your door? Or you leave and then you drive your car, and we know right now that there's a lot of stories where people were just driving, trying to escape to a safe place, and their car was shot.
The whole family were being shot
while
in their cars.
They were driving. So and you read all those stories the first day. So this morning you found this out that the war happened, and then by the end of the day you read that people who were trying to escape were shot.
Dead.
Yeah, and then people who stayed home in certain regions around Kiev also experienced real war. And what do you do?
We decided that the next day on Friday, we realized that, okay, they're not letting men out. I'm not leaving the country with kids. And we went to stay with our friends and their parents. And they also have kids. In the middle of nowhere. We're like, it's a very small village in the middle of nowhere. No one will go there. No one will need us there. We'll just stay there, be quiet. We had food with us and medication for our son and everything. We're like, whatever happens, at least we're going to be not alone. And the more brains you have at that point, the better. So we filtering all the social media and trying to figure out where to go, which road to take, not to meet a Russian tank, because at that point, if you meet a Russian tank, that's a death sentence.
Yeah.
They were shooting kids in front of parents. They were raping kids in front of parents. They were torturing men in front of their wives. In the middle of the road, there's one piece of road outside of Kiev that was literally a cemetery of cars full of families with kids. It's a devastating.
Yeah.
We didn't see it in person, But when you go one way and you read that another road is being turned into a cemetery, you kind of are scared. So we decided we're gonna stay there. If he can't leave, we're gonna be just all together. And by Friday evening, our government woke up, actually remembered that there is a constitution, there are laws to be followed. So they did sign a document that, yes, we have a category of men that can leave the country. And so on Saturday, on the third day of war, probably it was 6 or 7 a.m., we packed our stuff back in the car and moved towards the border. It took us 37 hours in a car driving, hoping that we don't meet
I don't know
those monsters.
What your camping experience, but we were very big city people.
Yes.
You know, we lived our whole life in the city, and we did zero camping in our lives.
Yeah.
And even if we had any kind of experience, this wasn't camping at all. Like we were in the car for 35 hours 37 hours,
I don't remember.
Driving almost nonstop, with 4 kids, one of which is disabled, and a dog who had severe anxiety of being in a car, in the car and in its cage or whatever we had.
Yeah, like a travel box.
So
our kids are saint people. Honestly, like, we often complain about our kids, but at that point, those hours in the car, oh my God, I know that they did their best.
Yeah.
I've never seen them more organized. I'm gonna cry. I've never seen them more mature, more organized.
Yeah.
They were so freaking out about seeing Ukraine. Even like, we met so many Ukrainian soldiers on the road. There were block posts that were they were checking the documents, who's going where, who's in the car. And the kids, for the first time in their life, they saw a gun, a machine gun. And they're like, will they hurt us or not? I'm like, no, they're Ukrainian soldiers. They're going to protect us. And those guys are like, hey, kiddos, how are you? Do you want a candy? They did their best to relax the kids, because everyone understood that's scary.
Yeah.
And there were volunteers who were helping the soldiers with all this process and making sure it's safe. And there was a limitation on how much gas you could buy. And at that point, we had a Volkswagen Atlas. The usage of gas in that car was insane by that time. And
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but we needed at least 2 full tanks to go from the point where we were to cross the border. And we were allowed to buy only like a third of our tank. And
20 liters, but that won't tell you anything.
Yeah, 20 liters was a third of our tank. And we needed 2 full tanks too. So 6 times more.
We would be constantly looking for gas
stations.
Yeah,
and there were, half of them were closed, half of them were empty because everything was sold. And honestly, the first gas station we found with the gas, I'm walking out of the car, coming to the register. I'm like, can I have the gas, please? And they're like, okay. I was going to close. How much do you need? I'm like, the full tank? I'm like, he's like, which car? I'm like, that one with 4 kids in it. He's like, okay. And the guy filled the whole tank like 3 times above the permitted volume. And after me,
and
he's like,
no line.
There was no line, and it was a pure blessing. And he's after me. He's like, we're out of gas. We're closing. I'm like, no way. And by the time we had probably a third of our tank empty left, we find another gas station that did the same. It was a pure blessing. It was like,
yeah, the
hand of God was like leading us out of Ukraine.
You might ask why it took so long, just because you can imagine that every major highway or road was
filled with cars.
Yeah, it was traffic. It was jammed everywhere. And so you would be driving very slow, and because people would choose like different, not the main roads, and So
Yeah, you don't take the shortest road.
Yeah.
We went in such a long road. Usually that road from our home to the border would take us probably 10 hours.
No,
No,
not
like
10.
we went to
8.
Carpathians 8 hours and
8.
just a bit further.
Yeah, well,
and we were further
than
from
10.
Kiev. Okay, even if it's 10 with the stops
but
and
we
food.
literally were driving like this.
Yeah, it was way further, and then
when you can have like a straight line. So yeah, when we got to the border, it wasn't really a border. We stopped
20 kilometers before.
Yeah, we stopped in a full stop traffic jam. It wasn't a traffic, it was a line.
It was a line up, yeah.
Yeah, for a border, it was 17 kilometers long.
17?
Yeah, I remember it very clearly that it was 17 kilometers long. And for next 4 hours, we were just standing on one place, not moving at all.
We were not sleeping all this time. We had food.
Night.
We had food with us. The kids fell asleep, but we couldn't. I suggested him getting asleep, and I would drive. And he's like, "I can't sleep. I just can't." He was closing his eyes, and he couldn't sleep. It was
so stressful.
But the problem we had is that our son is on a special diet. He's on a keto diet for his seizures, and he has 3 meals a day, and those meals are measured very strictly, and it's just a soup that I make and I blend it. And I need a kitchen, I need a blender, I need scales, and I need his medication. I need a full, complete kitchen to make food for him. He can't eat out of the, baby food of the jar. There's no way. He doesn't chew. I need to insert an tube to feed him. So I had food enough for 3 days.
And there were many people with this kind of same conditions in those lines. Like we met people who had insulin,
diabetes. The child was
we had all these cases, and what do? You just stand in line. But just to make a story shorter, we spent another 10 hours there. She found out that we as caregivers for a person with disability, it could not be our child. It could be our parent or
first
anyone.
Line relatives only.
If we are caregivers, then we have a right to cross the border.
Past the line.
Yeah. And so what we did, we went to a police station and we were like, hey, we have this right. How can we?
Here's the law.
Yeah. How can we apply it? And they're like, it's fine. It's fine. We know that we have this line, a separate line that we're gathering.
Yeah.
And once in a while we drive them, escort them
to the border.
So with a police car. And
there was some diplomats, a pregnant woman, a few sick people, us.
Really, really sick people. Yeah. And us. And all these people who had rights to cross the border without standing in line. Yeah. So we were like, yes, finally, hey, we're good. And then the most stressful, I'm 38 years old, but the most stressful period of time and the most stressful situation I experienced was these next few hours, because we went with the police car
in the lineup.
In the line, it was how do you call it? There was just 2 lines, one towards the border and one on the way back. So we were driving on this way back line, and there's no other.
But there's a police car in front of us and behind us, so everybody knows that we are led by police, so we can go there.
But people in line were standing there 2 days or 3 days. Or 3 days. So imagine standing in line. Your mental state is not very.
You're okay.
Yeah, you're not okay for sure. So people would just jump on our car while we were driving, jump to start to stop
it.
Just because for basically one reason, as we found out later on. All these people thought that we paid police to go through
To escort us.
To escort us, yeah, just because our car had a Kiev license plate, which means
Yeah,
like
it was an expensive car, Volkswagen Atlas.
yeah, people thought, oh, these rich people from Kiev are gonna be just paying their way through the border, which was not the case. Obviously, we will get into this, but we had the right, but people didn't know that there are cases where where people have such rights. Yeah. And we met people in line who didn't know that they have this right, and they were standing there.
There was a family
like,
who knew the right.
This is just such a long story, but we were trying to get to the border, and every like 2 kilometers probably. So remember, these 17 kilometers should have been escorted with police. The first time we stopped, because people literally jumped on the road and there was no way to drive.
They just blocked us.
Yeah, they blocked and started like messing with our car, yelling at us. They were trying to hit our car. There was one guy who were like the old man who, there was a crowd of people, and I still kind of have a dream sometimes about it. Like I seriously, there's a crowd of people. We are in the car, and I see the person's running with an axe, like with an axe, doing this and running towards our car. I'm like, this is it. Like I'm
losing my hand or my car or whatever. My head.
The next moment, this axe gonna be in my engine. So, and then Katya starts to scream.
I traumatized my daughter.
Kids started to like visibly nervous, because before that we tried our best not to make any sign of stress. Yeah,
like we're going to visit
we
grandma
listened to
and grandpa.
music.
We were singing. Just make them.
Yeah, we wanted to for them to not understand anything that happens, and it was very hard. I'd say it was very hard, because we were driving, listening to Ukrainian music and crying. I put my glasses on. Okay, it was ridiculous. But when those stops happened, the first time, cops just said, oh, there's nothing we can do. And they left.
And they just abandoned us.
And they just left. They took these diplomats. They asked my car to move. I'm like, why are you asking me to move a little? I'm like, okay, I'm moving a little. All this crowd is like around our car. They screaming, and they cops like showing the diplomat card, like, let's go. And they just left us. And
that's
we're
insane.
And this whole crowd is like, you should go back to the beginning of the line, and we're trying to explain people who were standing there for 2 days. Some of them are running out of food. Most of them ran out of food, and locals bringing food to them just because they're gonna starve. And so it was like 15-20 minutes, and we managed to explain them that we didn't pay anyone. We have a right. We have a disabled child.
There was so many questions.
Yeah,
like, just tell me honestly.
Yeah, just tell me honestly. I know you're a rich family from a capital. You're like so cool. Like, how much? How much does it cost? Because I want to pay too. Like, people didn't want to believe us.
And we couldn't explain that the car that we had was the car that we were dreaming about for 6 years. We were saving money, and like it looked nice, but it wasn't like it wasn't an easy like.
So yeah, we managed somehow. She probably managed to explain people around that.
There was another family, and we took turns. We were going with 2 cars.
Yeah.
One child with diabetes. He was being put on insulin at that point. Like, can you imagine taking your child from ICU with unstable insulin and sugar, and you just drive? You don't know, like, a child can be in coma like in an hour. And you don't know what's going to happen in the middle of a field, like in the village.
So yeah, we somehow managed to explain these people what is the case, and they let us go. So we were driving now, 2 of us, our car and this family that we just met there.
In the line, yeah.
Yeah, and then just another 2 kilometers, the same story. People just
Yeah.
jump on the car, stop, try yell at us, trying to get in fight with me, and like
Yeah, you're a man. Why you're leaving?
yeah, all these things like
We're getting
and
there.
and I wasn't like mad because it was clear to me that these people are very stressed because
They would probably be
I
better
was-
in a
Yeah.
normal day.
yeah,
right?
they weren't at their finest,
Yeah.
because how stressful this whole thing is. And so to make this story short, we had like 5 of such stops.
Every like few kilometers.
Every
yeah,
few
we had
kilometers,
some.
people would because they were what's called TRO, like territory, like people just gathered to
Volunteering.
secure some territory, and they had guns because government gave the guns out for anyone.
Yeah, just
who
to help
wanted.
the soldiers
Yeah.
because it was unexpected, so they
so-
recruited volunteers as
Yeah,
soon as
we met those
possible.
people. They were like, yeah, they have gun, and they like arguing with you.
Yeah, you
Show
don't
me your
argue with the
phone.
person with a gun.
Yeah, you show me your phone. I'm like, you can read whatever you want. So they would go through my messaging
And social
app,
media.
social media, just to see if I'm like
Pro-Russian.
pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian. And obviously, I'm like, you buddy want to check this out because I had a lot of following, and then I had a lot of like clearly pro-Ukrainian postings. So
yeah.
it was just miracle after miracle how we ended up being
On the border.
like on the border. And then I stayed in the car waiting, and she went with the documents, and she's coming back, and I'm like, I still don't know if they will let us go. And the plan was like, if they're not letting me go, then you all driving to my parents
In Poland.
in Poland, because they were already in Poland at that time, and I'm gonna be just staying here, and I'll figure it out. And she didn't want to even listen to to this, but she's coming back, and I'm like, oh my god! And I'm thinking like, how am I gonna
All the
calm her
scenarios.
down and explain her that it is the right thing to do for her to leave with.
I would
kids,
never leave.
And she's like, we're good. We're good. They're gonna let us go through. And then we went through this line, and when we stopped near the border, and Katya went with the documents, I had an episode that later on I talked to 3 of my friends who suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. 3 of my friends, dude, I know. Like, I know 2, and I just met, when I was in States, just met another one who tried to explain what the panic attack is. And I understand that I had a panic attack.
You never had one ever in your life.
I never had, and I thought like I'm just stressed. I have like a feeling that someone put something really heavy here. I cannot like fully inhale, and your hands are shaking, and your like vision is kind of like. It was very stressful situation, and I think I had medical consequences for a year or 2 after that, just because how big of a stress we experienced. But yeah, we crossed the border, and
so what are the 3 categories of men? Not 3.
The story is
what are the categories of men?
we're getting in there, but the story is way longer. There's so many details that just us know, and which makes this whole journey a miracle and a blessing.
Yeah.
And we thank God that he provided and guide us through all this.
All those details are not secret. It's just will take us like not an hour podcast. It's going to be 24-hour podcast.
But yeah, you're better at it. Like, there are a couple of official reasons, a male fighting age. And,
well, there's a very long list of categories of men who can leave Ukraine. I didn't get into all of the categories because I'm not we do not relate to them, but our family, my husband can leave Ukraine as a father of a child with severe disability.
This just one.
Then he can leave Ukraine as a father of 3 or more children. We have 4 kids.
That's called a multi-kid, like. multi-kid
like a large family.
Large family. Officially, large. We have a little
a document from government issued document. Yeah,
that we
says,
consider to be large family for Ukraine. So
yeah, and our son has a government issued document that he's a special needs child, and then the third category is all kids. The parents of adopted kids or with kids under like foster care can leave Ukraine.
Yeah. I have 3 of
and
reasons.
I literally, when we were crossing the border, I came up to the guard. I told him like, look, we have 4 kids. We have a child with disability. We are adoptive parents. Which category do you want my husband to cross the border with? So I didn't ask him, can we cross? I just
calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Calm down.
Like literally. So I came up to him because I realized I was so stressed and nervous, and he was so serious talking about something to other employees. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just scared to confront him. I'm like, so we have 3 reasons to leave. Which documents do you want me to bring you to let us through? So I didn't even ask if we can. I just gave him a choice, and he's like, let's do it through your child with disability. Because apparently other documents would take longer, or they have to check more or anything. But the list of men who can leave is way longer. So I know that if you're a caregiver of someone who has a disability and cannot take care of themselves.
That's what I said. When it comes to disability, it doesn't necessarily have to be like your child.
Yeah.
It's just you are a caregiver. I have a friend who had like a very disabled mother, and he left with her. The point is that you have to leave with the person you're caring for.
Of course, it makes sense.
Yeah, and this could be your brother or sister if you are officially.
If you can keep talking about it, I can find the document and I can tell you.
So and also, so there are a lot of. The reason for this podcast, right? We wanted to give you first of all our story, a little bit a personal story, how we ended up here, but also information for you to understand that whenever you see a male, a guy, a Ukrainian guy here in Canada or anywhere else outside of Ukraine, this could be for many, many reasons. There are a list of ways to get outside of Ukraine officially after the war started. So there are a lot of people who were living abroad, like not in Ukraine for a while, or just left a day before. Like I have a couple of friends who had a good job. They worked for one of them worked for American company. So American company were like, all right, so American embassy is evacuating and suggesting all the American companies and citizens to leave Ukraine. Yeah. And they were like, we're leaving, and this company that our friend works, they ordered a charter flight for all of their employees, and they're like, there's gonna be a plane if you wanna fly out, just in case. Like we're gonna provide with the
housing, just have a vacation, take your family. And,
and they did.
And they did.
It was a week before, and this is another case. We might invite them to our podcast sometime because they're in Ottawa, but his wife was like, "We have to fly. We have to go," and he was like, why would we go? Like, what are you talking about? He was just the same as me, and he'd like, well, it's a free flight. We're gonna see
free vacation,
like kind of like a adventure. So let's go. And little that they know, but
yeah, they came to Canada probably months earlier than we did.
Yeah, and
so I found the document. So the men who are not obligated to serve in army due to their health.
Yeah.
The men that.
But there's a catch in this one.
Like not everyone.
Officially, before the war, there were like a whole list of
medical conditions
that basically prohibit you from even serving in the military, not going to war at all, not to mention going to war. But when the war happened, they've shortened this list so much that people would pretty bad conditions still cannot get this document that they are indraftable, right? They cannot be drafted. So we have a friend with asthma, right? Asthma?
Yeah,
How do you
asthmatic?
asthmatic, right? He had asthmatic. He's been inhaling this thing and carrying this thing with him all his life, and he's not. They cannot draft him.
He's not fit for service.
Yeah, he didn't serve in the military or whatever because he had a document that he's fine. But now he cannot get a document to get outside of Ukraine.
Yeah,
another friend who had like a very bad condition with his liver. He's been
Yellow.
Once in a while we would meet him and he's been like this color, like yellow, like
orange.
Very bad orange. Yeah, like orange yellow ish and it visibly bad.
You can see that it's not okay.
And he's fine. He could be like people with how do you call like
schizophrenia?
Плоскостопие, which is like like flat.
Well, that's not really an issue, but
like officially,
you can't walk properly.
Yeah, officially, they cannot draft you, and you had a document that I even have one in Ukraine. Everyone who's in last year of high school, right?
Yeah.
So girls would have a special course for medical and something cooking, sewing.
Yeah,
sewing,
like housekeeping, like sewing,
stuff like
cooking.
that. But the guys would have something like military training where you learn how to shoot, like all these things, like how to march, and this was a year where you get all these documents for
whether you're fit for service or not.
It's kind of like a preparation for to go to army after you finish high school, because this is you either go to high school after you finish graduating high school. You either go to military for 2 years or you go for university.
Yeah,
right. So people with this condition where your
feet are flat,
flat feet. We don't know what's the official condition. They were not obligated to go to army officially. Now they can go to work.
I have a few moms of special needs children in my circle of friends, and those are not moms of kids who have something
easy.
Light, something easy. Those are kids with severe disabilities. They're not capable of taking care of themselves. Their mom or their dad are full-time caregivers. And I think last year, a year and a half ago, one of those moms wrote a post on Facebook. She's like, guys, do you know what I'm doing? Preparing my son documents to prove that he's not fit for army. Her son has autism. Her son is blind. Her son has epilepsy. So he has never been on his own.
He still needs a document.
Yeah, but you still need a document. Like, he has to go through medical exam and be considered for drafting, and then you prove he's not fit, so he gets a delayed drafting. So he's not fit, but he can be
delayed,
drafted later.
And
she's like, it's insane.
This is very hard to say and to admit, but this is another way for corruption, unfortunately.
Yes.
Just because how hard this process became, it's still manageable, but you pay people, and people do, just because, if you it's another again, it's a very controversial topic, so we are not getting into there, but there are officially people who left Ukraine in not in a legal way, and this is the whole crazy experience for all these people. But our point is that people could be outside before the war. So we have a lot of friends who went before the war, and they if they will come back,
they won't be able to leave.
They won't be able to leave.
There's no law that makes them obligated to come back. So those men who left before war, they're like, oh, I'm abroad. There's no law that makes them come back.
Yeah, they're trying, like every other month I read that Ukraine tries to come up with some legislation forcing people to come back.
Yeah.
But every country out there, including Canada, like they're partners with Ukraine, they're supporting Ukraine, but they're like, hey, there's that little thing called human rights. There's no way we're doing anything like that without like a reason.
And also like those men who left, like our friend on the charter flight a week before war, from the legal point of view, he and the man that left 5 years before war are in the same position.
And
how can you make a person who left Ukraine 5, 10, 23, 6 years ago come back? Like, that person already has a life, a job, a family. Like, he immigrated voluntarily. He moved to another country for some reason, right? Has a career. How can you make that person come back? You don't.
When she says like it's legally the same status, it means that just recently, like half a year ago, Ukraine launched, just because, I don't know if you know, but Ukraine is very digital government. Zelensky, when he took over office, they made a lot of apps, government apps, and they moved a lot of government services to your smartphone, and it was amazing, and it's still amazing.
It's really convenient.
It is very cool. Like, you don't need any papers. A lot of stuff you can do, more and more stuff you can do through your phone, which is crazy
This is very convenient because so many Ukrainians scattered around the world, but still have to do
even
things
before
inside.
war, it was like you don't need to get out of your house to do a lot of different stuff. But they came up with an app, like military app, that and the legislation with it, basically forcing you to log in, and as a Ukrainian citizen, to log in, register there, and update your data,
military related data.
Like data of where are you. You can select a country, you enter an address, you entering a phone. So it's
for men. It's just for men.
Yeah, just for men. So I updated. I said Canada. I said Ontario. Like, you can choose all these things. You can choose the address, the phone, and they're like, okay, you're updated your data, and then and it's probably they know that I am. I don't know why, but for some reason, sometimes when you update this data, this app tells you that you have to show up at the Ukrainian drafting point for additional confirmation or additional updates. So for people who are outside, that means one-way ticket.
Yeah.
If they get there to update their data, they're not getting out. Most definitely they will be drafted. But if they don't, this legislation that came with this app basically allows Ukrainian government to seize your assets. If you left Ukraine 5 years ago, but there's like your parents left you little apartment somewhere,
or money in the bank,
or a car, you own something, basically in a while, like they're gonna first they're gonna fine you, then they're gonna fine you twice, 3 times, something like,
and then collectors will go after your
there's
assets.
A process where eventually, if you're not updating and you're not going back to update this additionally information, they can seize your assets, which is kind of like insane.
I think this is not fair, because what about, like, my main question is, what about people who immigrated when there was peace in Ukraine and they were voluntarily immigrating, moving to another country, looking for better life?
Okay, it's very difficult to discuss these things.
Yes.
Like, especially we are not in a position to say something about how it works in Ukraine, just because there are people there, there are friends there who live in such conditions in these things, and it's very probably inappropriate for us to judge something that it's fair, it's not fair. So we're not
go in that direction.
Yeah, we're not talking about our opinions about all these legislations and all these acts that government issues, just because it's not our business anymore.
And it's also not a one-sided story. Yeah. So there's so many sides to it.
Yeah. So
our main message was that there are...
again, let's wrap up. The main idea for this podcast was that for you guys to, whenever you see a person, because we've seen a lot of hate, and we know that sometimes people, when they see fighting age men here in Canada or anywhere else, they tend to, think that, he's a traitor, or he's something, like all these different things that people label Ukrainian men because the fact that they are there. And now you might consider thinking that they could be taking care of someone disabled. They have a lot of kids. They
have a health condition.
Adopted kids. They have a health condition, or they were outside even before the war happened.
A single parent can also leave Ukraine. Like there's a whole list. Like it's a very long list. It's impossible. So just think that. Give it just a reasonable doubt that maybe this man in Canada is in Canada for a very not like all of those reasons that give the right to a Ukrainian man to leave the country are not happy reasons.
Yeah. When we were driving to the border and all these, conflicts with people happened, I was like, I told one lady who were screaming at me.
When you were at the boiling point.
Yeah. I was like, I would happily trade with you my reason to go there past the line, just because you're going past the line because of disability of my child. Like I'm saying, I'm happily will trade with you
right now and stay for days here.
And stay for days in this line, just because that would mean that my kids are fine and not disabled. So there's something
bigger like there can be a very big reason behind the man being outside of Ukraine, and very complicated reason.
But to be completely fair, I still, in my experience and experience of people I know, the most amount of hate comes not from Americans or Canadians. Usually that comes from either Ukrainians who were here before for a while, or who came here. Cases, the biggest hate generators are usually it's some sort of statistics or whatever.
Really?
I saw online. Yeah, the most hate comes from mothers who came somewhere like out abroad with their kids when their father is in military.
I can understand it.
Which completely understandable, and there's like hate me however
as much
you want, much as you want. Yeah, it is crazy that what those people go through. So,
I would not.
Yeah.
Like if you would not be able to leave Ukraine, if you were still in Ukraine, I would not go further than probably just stay with your parents in Poland. I wouldn't even go to visit my parents in England because it's too far. Yeah, I would be just across the border.
And who knows what your mental state would have become after 2.5 years.
Without you.
Yeah. So it is all very sad, but we are, like we started this podcast and said in the first episode, we're in this unique position where we probably, being Ukrainians with this Ukrainian English, trying to explain you guys
Ukrainian English.
Ukrainian English. Because,
okay.
No, I've heard the term Chinglish.
Really? Chinglish.
Chinglish, and I love it. Like Ukrainian is what you have. right in this podcast. So
that's an alternative.
Yeah, trying to explain you what we are going through and what Ukrainians are going through, and
yeah,
what
just busting some myths.
yeah, just for you guys to have a better picture. And we already I already talked to 2 people. One of them was offline. One of them was online, who said, like, your podcast is just keep it up. Like, I found out so much that I didn't know. And so, yeah, this is why we do this. And again, thank you for your support. Both of our first episodes are over 1,000 views. This is amazing. We were
Thank you.
let's start podcast and we will have 100 views for first year. Like 1,000. Thank you very much, guys. And support this.
We'll try to come up with a topic that's not as depressive as this one next time. But
what you can do, if you watched all the way till the end, which is crazy, what is wrong with you? but
thank you. He means thank you.
Yeah, leave a comment, press the like, because YouTube algorithms like this, and this could be
subscribe.
Yeah, and this could be pushed over to other.
Also, write in the comments if you have a question that you would like us to answer, or a topic you would like us to cover.
Yeah.
Go ahead, write us in the comments, and we'll try to make it happen.
Thank you very much for your support. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.